Good evening, folks. This evening I am working on this sketch cover here. It is obviously the Tick and Arthur, and this is a jam sketch cover. A jam sketch cover is when, or just a jam sketch is when you have more than one artist working on a particular piece. And in this case, I worked on this with the writer of the Tick, Jeff McClelland. And how we did this one, as far as the creative process goes, is I did a sketch, and then Jeff lettered it and wrote all of the dialogue. And he's really been working on his lettering. So what he's been doing is he's using an Ames guide and going in and lining stuff out, and then putting his uh, flourishes on it. Now, some of the things that we're going to run into here, where Jeff put a speech bubble, or a speech balloon, excuse me, where it's going to cover Arthur's head. So we have to make a decision here of either moving Arthur or moving the balloon. And I think we're going to adjust the balloon a bit. Because if we were to erase this, it would erase all of Arthur's head, you know. It would go like this. So let's take a look. One of the things that I do a lot now, more than I used to, is because I have some new methods of erasing, is I will go in and I'll actually clean the drawing as I go. And it makes it easier for me to really see and make decisions on things. I can show you a finished one. This is one that we did while we were at the show together. And in this case, I did the same thing. I did a sketch and I handed it off to Jeff. He lettered it, and then I inked it. I did a sketch of the Tick eating an apple sitting on top of Thrakazog. And what Jeff did was he wrote the joke, Thrakazog, are you a doctor? I'm eating an apple, Thrakazog. Do you get it? And then the little guy that comes out of Thrakazog's mouth says, I get it. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. And that was, this one is on a New York Comic-Con exclusive. And our good friend Isaiah, who pops in every now and again, bought this one, and I'll be getting it in the mail along with like 7 or 8 other drawings people have been patiently waiting for before the weekend, hopefully. At worst, I'll get it done Saturday. There it is. There's Isaiah, the proud owner, our friend who picked up this sketch cover. Hey, thank you. I really had fun doing this, and anytime I can work with Jeff on this sort of thing, I really have a lot of fun. And he comes up with clever ideas, and he's really getting better with his hand lettering, and he's using his Ames guide, and you can actually see when you look at it real close, you can see the little pencil lines from where the Ames guide was used, the old hand lettering tool. So we only got these two even started. Jeff actually wrote a script while we were there for one of our creator-owned ventures. So hopefully we'll be able to take that on. But in this case, he did a Breaking Bad reference. Arthur's talking about, obviously they're watching Breaking Bad, and Arthur's talking about it on... So what I'm going to do, I think I have to just leave it as it is. I have to continue that speech balloon. And I'm going to firm up, I think, some of the balloons. I think I'm going to firm those up a little bit. And then I'm definitely going to firm up the buzzing on the outside, because this is meant to look like an old TV that they're watching it on. So And they're both obviously sitting around drinking coffee, and I, of course, had to go for like the lowball prop humor joke of Tick having a gigantic coffee mug, and then Arthur has like a regular coffee mug. Hey, Michael, how are you? Thanks for joining me this evening. Um, yeah, whenever if people want to see what I picked up, I didn't buy a lot of stuff while I was at the show, but I did pick. I was able to meet an artist named Dennis Cowan. Um, I was able to meet Bo Hampton again, who I'd met a couple times before. Um, yeah, on the drive down, I'm tired. I'm getting better though. Like it's been a little bit of a drag getting back to it. After a convention, it just takes me longer than it used to. And here's a couple of signed comics. Bo Hampton drew this cover's by Michael William Coluto, but I showed this last week. But he drew the inside of this Moon Knight, and this is a Dennis Cowan comic signed by Dennis Cowan. And he did Deathlock, he did Hardware, he did, he's done Batman. I think the only thing that I read that he's never done is X-Men. Hey, Douglas. I was just describing it that way because we do have a younger audience, and they may not have had like at my grandparents' house the giant mahogany box that had a clicker that had a dial on it. Um, that was the first remote control I ever saw on a TV. It actually had wood paneling around the outside of it, which I don't know. It's wild to think of the craftsmanship that went into that now, and that it looked like a credenza or something like an end table. This wooden it was a piece of furniture. It was not an appliance at that point. If you want to talk about it's true. It was. Um, I had a twist knob TV, but it didn't have the pretty wood paneling. The first TV was had no that I ever had no remote. We actually had two TVs in the house. One was the only color we had a color and a small black and white. Um, they both had knobs, and you had to get up to change the channel. Like I never had a remote until we moved to Ohio when I was in like third grade. That was the first time there was ever a remote in my house for the TV, let alone. Um, yeah, my dad has sold furniture for, since the late 70s, so for 50 years. And if you want to talk about stuff that used to be made out of wood and like TVs or lamps or whatever, and all kinds of things that, have changed drastically over the years, it's something that he quite enjoys talking about. You could. Douglas says they had an old YT, a real Art Deco looking thing that you'd have to warm up. You could feel the radiation coming off of it. Oh, for sure. Yeah, you could feel them heating up, and also like the little black and white that my parents had. If you turned it on, the picture would be like wavy for a little bit, and then it would straighten out. That was you know. I remember we got to watch the Michael Keaton Batman movie on our neighbor's TV, and they had one of those giant boxed big screen TVs, and it was like the picture was like kind of faded because it was like a projection. I did not see that in the theater. No, I did not see the Michael Keaton Batman movies in the theater. I saw the Val Kilmer one. I did not see the Michael Keaton ones in the theater. I can show you some other stuff I picked up, not at the show, but recently. I shared a picture of these. I got these on eBay. They were the new TMNT Usagi Yojimbo sketch covers, and I haven't read it yet, but I'm looking forward to it because Stan is just a phenomenal cartoonist. I mean, look at it, even the lettering; it's just terrific. Um, but yeah, two characters I have drawn on legit comic books. So if anybody's interested in a sketch on one of those, feel free to drop me a line. There's those signed comics I showed you guys, Dennis Cowan, Bo Hampton. There's the Jam sketch cover from before. I picked up this book from Bo Hampton for cheap. I'd never seen it. It's a fully watercolored Viking prince story from a number of years ago. It looks beautiful. Storytelling looks great. I'm looking forward to reading that. Some dollar books. The Barry Windsor Smith X-Men for $1. These were given to me by an artist that was walking through. Andrew Rodriguez. He said he was a big Tick fan, so he gave me some of his comic. I haven't read those yet. Gave out a bunch of these, so hopefully people join us. Some dollar books. This had like a Chaykin story I hadn't read. The Chris Warner Doctor Strange, which I quite like. Some nice old Charlton. And then an annual. I pretty much, anytime I see an annual for $1, really doesn't even matter what it is, I'll read it. But those were that was the extent of my buying. It was a pretty cheap weekend. But I had a good spot. I took pictures of it. I had a nice end cap corner. The floor manager, Mike Burgee, hooked me up with a good spot at the Philadelphia show. Um, oh, okay. I will look forward to reading it. Couldn't pass up Power Man and Iron Fist that I didn't have for $1. I mean, looked like Greg LaRocque penciled that one. He did some of the pencils in the later issues. But at the show, Friday got there around 1:30. Checked into the hotel. Jay and I drove. Jay drove, and I was the navigator because it was his car, and he likes to drive, so no problem with that. I just manned the GPS and told him when to turn. And we joked most of the way. We listened to some his metal, which he is very well versed in. I like some of the old stuff. Um, he introduced me to dwarf metal, which is like a fantasy power metal, as if they were dwarves that lived under a mountain. That was interesting. But yeah, we got set up on Friday. We Friday was like and this was a first year show. Ronaldinho Rubino says, "Good morning," and from where I am, good evening. First year show, new building. Building was nice. It wasn't brand new, but it wasn't like falling in old. There was like it was a giant building. There was another convention going on for like a dance convention or cheerleading type thing. Um, and what do we do? We got set up. Jeff was a little late getting there. He had to go to New York for some work thing. I don't remember what it was for. I think it was for one of his writing jobs, but if he pops in, maybe he can answer for us. Um, Friday was okay, sales wise. Not great, but okay. Um, got to meet some artists, local artists and dealers. Um, Pleasant View Comics, which is actually a New England local dealer group, was actually pretty close to us. And it was really good to catch up with James and Christo. They're really good dealers. They have great books. That's who I got those dollar books from. Um, some of them were $2 books, but they gave you a deal if you bought a whole bunch of them. I guess I bought enough to get a deal. Um, One thing that we realized very quickly that would become annoying throughout the weekend was we had the themed cars like in the same section of the building as us, and they were playing the theme music from each of the the shows that the cars were from. So we had to listen to the theme of the Munsters and the theme of Batman, and we did the math. They basically were playing them 60 times a day. So we heard them, 180, 2 full days, and then a half day. So like basically like each song we heard like 200 and some odd times throughout the weekend, which was a bit much. I do not, much as I enjoy the Adam West Batman, and when I was a kid I watched the Munsters, I do not need to hear those theme songs anytime soon. It was kind of like back in the old days when I'd get stuck across from the bootleg DVD guy, and he would be playing the Star Wars holiday special on an infinite loop throughout an entire weekend. And then we all knew we had to get Chewie back for Life Day, which is like the Wookiee form of Christmas. Douglas says 6 hours of the Monsters theme. The CIA did that to people in MK Ultra. I I I think it would make people crack. I do. Yeah, they had the Munsters car, the '60s Batmobile, and like the Jetsons car. But the Jetsons theme they would only play for the first like dun, 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 and then that was it. Like they didn't have the rights to play the whole theme or something, but they would play the whole theme for the other ones. Um, and then we had this guy who was selling like lightsabers that were like supposedly durable, and he would like whack them against the ground to quote unquote prove they were durable. Although the guy I did a sketch for told me that he was at a show once where a guy was hitting them against the ground and they broke, and it was not a good scene. Obviously, because you're plastic shards flying everywhere. I'm gonna switch pens here because this has a little bit of a flex to it, as I've told you guys. It's got it's got a nice bouncy line, which is what I love about these. So, but when I'm doing something even smaller, I still switch back to the Faber Castell. Um, Saturday we all came in, optimistic, hoping for the best. But did not have a great sales day Saturday for me personally. Now Jay, who was next to me, had a good Saturday, so that's just how it goes sometimes at a show. I actually was losing my voice because I was talking so much. I was trying to tell people about my books and the work that I'd done and talk about the stream here. Met lots of nice people. The local artists are really nice, but Saturday was not my best day. Oh, Friday night we went to a barbecue place. I'm getting ahead of myself here. We went to a barbecue place called Perks in Oaks, PA, and it was a bar, um, not too far from the venue, and the food was pretty darn good. I gotta say, it was a solid brisket sandwich, and I'm a pretty harsh judge of brisket. And yeah, went there, had a beer, had a sandwich, went to the hotel, and then Jeff was insistent that we play Nintendo Wii when we got back to the room. I don't own any new video game systems, so I automatically assume I'm going to be terrible at whatever the new stuff is. But I actually was okay at the bowling game. I gotta say, it took me a little bit to learn how to use the zoom in so I could see the how far the pins were and stuff, but I actually did pretty well with that. Um, yeah, after that, we just went back. Saturday, went in, set up on time. The Friday night ended at 8, the convention, and then picked up again at 9 a.m. for VIPs to come in. Now, I don't like a 12-hour turn because it just wears me the hell out for the entire weekend. But that's just how they always do their shows. The altered reality shows all have a 12-hour turn between Friday and Saturday, and it's a lot. It's a long day, especially after driving from where we live down to Philadelphia. It was about 7 hours. So we did that. There was some good local artists that was good to see. There were some other independent artists that clearly came in from like out of state or whatever. Um, Saturday night, I did not go to the after party. I almost never go to that stuff unless they have a drink and draw that's after dinner or has food. I rarely go to that stuff. Sometimes out at Colorado Springs during the after party, all the artists will be in the bar, which is like next door, just hanging out, doing just swapping stories and stuff. But yeah, I don't go to the dancing stuff. I am a horrific dancer. Um, yeah, we actually went to a what is it, Phoenixville, Phoenixburg, whatever was the next town over, Saturday night after the show, and went to a little bistro there called the Black Lab Bistro. It was pretty good dinner. Jay insisted on getting a beer at the Irish pub, so I had a Smithwick's there, and after that, we just head back to the hotel. Dinner was lovely. Got to see a little nice town. They had a cool old theater there. And then Sunday came around, and I my voice was gone from really pushing it and trying to be an interactive person and engaging on Saturday. That I actually just sat there and was more reactionary that day on Sunday. And Sunday was my best day. It was a day where I had low expectations, and it turned out to be by far my best day of the three. Um, I don't know what circumstances led my friend David, from up closer to this neighborhood, um, came down and picked up a drawing from me, which was very nice of him. It was good to see him. And then one of the fellow artists in the alley, I think she said she was from New Jersey. She bought a piece. She bought that Scarlet Witch sketch cover I had done. Um, yeah, Sunday was the best day for me. I did do a panel. We did the Making Comics panel. Jeff and I did on Saturday morning, and we actually were told by the people that run the panels that we had the most people so far at any panel, and they had a MASH panel. They'd had a trying to remember the other panels they said they'd had, but they'd had some celebrity panels before us, and this was more of a celebrity centric show, and I was surprised to hear that the drawing comics panel, actually was the best attended panel to that point. Douglas says, "Ha, when all else fails, say nothing and look pretty." Well, I mean, I can vouch for the say nothing part. I didn't say nothing, but I just wasn't like trying to talk to everybody that came up. I wouldn't ignore people. I would definitely tell them like, hey, if you have any questions, just give me a holler. But I was working. I was trying to be productive. So, oh, and I would like to share. Usually, there are artists in this community that hang out on the stream. Um, I did finally get a call back from the Department of Revenue in Pennsylvania about the sales tax their situation, and it took forever. And I signed up for a transient sales permit, just guessing that was what I had needed, and I was right. After reading that stuff, got that permit, but I didn't know if it was one of those states that was going to make me file quarterly, even if I didn't have any conventions I was doing in their state, which like New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, they all do that. And so what I did was is I finally got the call back, and they said, "Nope, file your one return, pay your sales tax, and then just close your account." And that's what the department told me to do, and that's what I'm gonna do. Um, but I guess the process is you sign up for your permit at least a week before the show, you sales return, and you close your account. So Pennsylvania, not as hard as it was seeming to be, but they just clearly don't have the right information available on the website. Because I'm pretty good at this stuff at this point because I've done it in enough states, but they made it hard. I'm not going to be sending them a ton of money because I didn't make a lot of money, but if I ever do another show in that part of town, I can take care of it pretty easily. Well, yeah, Doug, I pretty much lost my voice from talking so much on Saturday. So what does anybody else have any going on? Anybody got any Kickstarters going on they want to promote or books coming out? I know that the Perhapanauts, my buddies Craig and Todd have their book going. Um, Douglas says he's a bit concerned about that for CCI not having had to talk for 10 hours for 5 days in several years. Yeah, I mean, I didn't do myself any favors by not having any tea. Like I should have had some tea with honey in it for my throat. There are things that I can do to mitigate that. But it's definitely a muscle that needs some training for me. I'm not great. One thing I did do for sure that will help me in the future is I saw that PayPal's chip readers were no longer on back order, and I ordered one of those. They're not expensive; they're like $30. I had one sale that I lost out on because of that. They didn't have PayPal and they didn't have cash, so I'll have that set up for the next time I have a show. What do I think of PayPal versus something like Square? Asks Michael. I use PayPal and I like PayPal because I've had good customer service for years there. Now, I'm not saying Square doesn't also have that, but anytime I've had an issue or needed documentation or paperwork or had a dispute, um, I've just had good luck with them. And I don't know about the others. I actually have friends that use Square all the time and they love it. So if you have one that you're thinking about using, they both seem to have pretty good track records. I just already do all my sales through my website through PayPal, and it's already set up with like all the sales tax and everything there. And it makes it easy keeping it all in one place for me. Um, as I mentioned, Jeff is far more clever and informed with his joke writing than I am. I went for the cheap laugh with the oversized novelty coffee cup. Um, because I was trying to think of just like a quick visual gag that even if you didn't have you know, if they're sitting in a couch, they're not really pantomiming anything. So But yeah, that's my thought was just that I've been using it. I already have it set up for my other sales. It's my business account. I use it for business stuff. It makes it easy to keep track of my expenses. Finding a system that works for you, we're just at an age where you can't not offer purchase with debit or credit cards anymore. I held out as long as I could, and then I used one of those swipers for a little while with the magnetic strip. But now we're at an age where you got to be able to take a chip card. And the beauty of the PayPal one is that it also takes what is it? Apple Pay, Google Pay, the watch. Like you can tap it, with whatever your tapping is, the fobs that they have. So it takes many different payment types. So I'm going to be able to accept payment types and hypothetically, be able to take in more sales that way. As long as they want to buy what I'm selling. I definitely missed out on a sale because I didn't take Venmo at one point, but like I don't know, I can't offer all of the things because I have to do all the paperwork by myself and all the reconciliations. So it's like I don't have any employees to do that stuff, and I want to have it simplified somewhat. But with this new edition, this is my new thing I'm adding this year, so hopefully, it makes it easier for people to buy, maybe some bigger ticket items instead of having to always carry cash. Got to really put my head down and get some work done this weekend. I've got a cover. I've got two covers actually, and a preview book for Under Secure. I got to get done because I might be setting up at a show I wasn't sure I was setting up at. So got to really dig down and get some stuff done. I did have one question at the panel, which was really useful. That I think people might get some insight from, and it was from a young creator who had made a webcomic, already made like 5 chapters of a webcomic, which with a full-time job, not really really tough to do. So clearly, this person was already like grinding on making comics. And she said that she was just feeling burnt out and she hadn't been able to finish her webcomic. And she was asking about time management. Now, I worked many full time jobs around making comics for years. And one of the things that helped me um, was finding out what I could do at different times of the day and different levels of tiredness. Because, like, I was always tired because I was working 2 jobs all the time, like, no matter what, and making comics is, like, many jobs into itself, but let's just say for the simplification that, I had the day job and was doing comics, at the same time as 2 jobs, and, um, so I would be working a full shift or full day doing whatever, whether I was at the print house or if I was at working at Michael's at one point. Like I had all kinds of random jobs in between stuff. Well, that's not true. I worked at Michael's, then I worked at the print house, and then I was the creative director at Acanthus. Like those were my main 3 jobs. And I would work all day, and then I would work at night. Like I would work, after dinner when I got home till 11 or 12 o'clock, and then I would take a break after dinner at one point, sit with Camille, and then I would, if I needed to keep cranking, I'd go back to work. And at night, I couldn't pencil hardly at all. My drawing would be horrendous, like way worse than anything that you're used to seeing from me. Um, and so what I ended up doing was at night when I was really tired, what I would work on is stuff like inking backgrounds, lettering, doing things that didn't require as much creative energy, but I was still being productive and it was still work that had to be done in order to do what I needed to do. Um, but yeah, that was my piece of advice, and it was also just to forgive yourself a little bit if you don't get everything done, because it takes so much effort to put together these things that, like, if you don't finish an entire comic in a night, it's okay, and that's really hard if you're really driven and really trying to like get something done. But finding out what you can do at different levels of tired and still have it be quality work was really important for me to be productive, especially early on. Because one of the things I tell people when I go back and talk at like my college that I went to, my alma mater, or at another school, is that like if you're not sure you want to do art as a job, to just do it for a day. Like sit down as though you're having like you've been hired to do whatever art you want to do, and then put in a full 8 hours. Start in the morning, work all day, take a break, take a lunch break or whatever, and then see where you're at. Because if it's absolute misery working that much at art, maybe it's just a hobby, and that's totally okay too. It doesn't have to be the alpha and omega for like every person out there. That's actually part of Jim Lee's talk that he usually gives, is when he talked about breaking into the industry that he started out by just treating every day as though he already had the job and working a full day. One of the things I find tough about Arthur is not drawing him too athletic looking. I want him to have like a little bit of a paunch. Michael says some people cancel an $1,800 purchase after leaving the store I work for. For us to dispute Square, said we needed an ID pick, credit card pick, and the people have a Square customer account. Michael says I'm just leery of using Square for my own business transactions. Yeah, I mean it's if you've had bad experiences, maybe you give PayPal a try. I've never had major issues with like disputing anything or refunds or any of my normal stuff. I mean, to be honest, I've never had anyone, try to do something that large of scale, because I don't really have items that big to sell. Isaiah Ferguson says I met Jim in high school. DC Comics was right around the corner from where I went to school, and they gave us a tour. That is very cool. That is very cool. Did they give you any artwork on the tour? That's always been one of those urban legends that they used to give people on the tour artwork. Ugh. Just need a little water. Hey, free comics is pretty good. Oh, that's cool. Free comics and figures on a tour at DC Comics, says Isaiah Ferguson. That's pretty good. Desiree says, I'm starting to think Walter White's plan wasn't so bad. Just keep it small scale. Just sell a little meth. Just a little meth. A little bit. I'm going to get a ruler. Ruler must be in the other box, so I'll just use the edge of my circle template. Douglas says, if I could go back and choose between comics or selling meth, that'd be a tough choice. No, actually it wouldn't, Douglas says. Meth for the win. Good evening. How was the J&E road trip? Asks Jonathan. It was a trip. I will give you that. Yeah, I'll show you the couple of books I got signed. I got the Dennis Cowan on the Power Man and Iron Fist. We were written by Denny O'Neil. Carl Potts was the inker on this. It's good stuff. And then the Bo Hampton Moon Knight. Hey, likewise, J-Bo. You were running around and busy a lot, so. Let's get our little rabbit ears here. I had a TV that had rabbit ears. Let me see. Says my overhead view keeps cutting out on me. Let me just do the little reset that I know how to do. Is that better? I lose the chat feed when I hit that little reset. So let me know if this works better. Yeah, like I was saying, Sunday was my best day at the show. As far as sales go and everything. It felt like for me, it was one of those where everybody kind of already saw the rest of the show that was there for 3 days, so they came by Artist Alley, or at least my table, towards the end of the week, end of the weekend. So, but that's one of those things that happens, you know. Got back about 1 a.m. Monday morning. We left Friday. We did leave a little early. We left at like 4:30 or so. We did. We made enough for gas money. Not a lot more, but we made enough to cover the tolls. The tolls and the gas money. Paid for dinner. But met a bunch of new people. First year show. And like I said, Jay had a good Saturday. I did not have a good Saturday, but Jay had a good Saturday, and I had a pretty good Sunday, and he didn't have a good Sunday. So even for people who are like right next to each other, you never know. It's a fickle business. Although if I never hear the Munsters theme again after I heard it for 3 days straight with the original Batman theme and the monkeys, they had the monkey mobile. So they played Hey Hey We're the Monkeys. Like I said, we heard each of the songs probably 250 times over the weekend based on the math we did. And we had a college professor involved in said math. So I believe the math is correct in this case. I think there's a solid chance we really did. Panel was good. We did. There's always, the Making Comics panel is always a good spot. There's always good people that have bring their questions. Lewis Perry of the Angry Geeks helped us out with the panel. Um, Not a lot of dollar bins, Jonathan. There was a lot of $2 bins. That seems to be the going rate. And I was talking to some of the dealers there, and they were good dealers. They actually had like their per square foot pricing down on how many books they needed to sell to make their table back. And they were just talking about how with modern conventions and the way things cost to get in the door these days, that unless you get an exceptionally cheap table, that it's just not feasible to have dollar bins anymore. They talked me through the numbers and it made perfect sense. The price per square foot, the number of books you got to move. It's a bummer, but I get it. It's a business. There was some solid stuff in there. Like there was some like old power Bronze Age marvels. I found a couple of Charltons in there. There was some decent stuff. Like it was not all, late mid 2000s Marvel books or a whole bunch of Ultimate X-Men. In most cases they were bagged and boarded. And actually that's what one of the dealers told me, is that like if we can't do dollar bins, they're all going to be bagged and boarded at the very least. Yeah, fair number of $2 bins. There was and there was at least a handful of comic dealers, which was nice. You never know with a more celebrity centric show, how many comic dealers are going to be there. And I'll be honest, I really only saw one celebrity the whole weekend, and it was the patron saint of comic conventions, as far as celebrities go, is Brian O'Halloran, the dude from Clerks, Dante. I've seen him for years at conventions, and he's always on time. He's always nice. Um, yeah, I have nothing but nice things to say about Brian. He buys stuff from comic creators. He shares comic creators' posts on his social media. You know, he understands that it's a comic convention. I actually had dinner with him once, in Colorado Springs, with my buddy Daryl Banks, and Ron Mars was there, who, we're pretty friendly. I don't want to speak out of turn, but I would consider him a friend. Got to meet him at the premiere of Clerks 3. He was very nice. Brian is a professional, and he's genuinely nice. So if there's ever a karaoke, he closes it down with Piano Man. Like that's what he does. I still haven't seen Clerks 3. I want to see it, but I have not seen it yet. Uh-oh, Jeff left the other coffee mug blank. I get to come up with some terrible joke that makes him cringe. What should Arthur's coffee mug say? Like neat coffee? I feel like we've got enough Tick fans and creators in the audience that we can come up with something for Arthur's coffee mug. World's second greatest lawyer, better than Better Call Saul's coffee mug. World's keenest sidekick? Or second, should it be second greatest sidekick? It seems like something Tick would give to Arthur, a mug that says second greatest sidekick to his sidekick. Working on the hands. Just put number 2 on the mug. I like that. That's simple. It's very simple. I like that. That's in the lead, number 2. It also makes me think that he would also just number his mugs, like for the days of the week or something. I heart math. One of the things I also wanted to do was show that the Tick is squishing the couch more than Arthur is. So like you can see that the cushion starts here and it continues, but it's just way more squished where the Tick is sitting. A small detail, but one that I think actually gives some credence to the Tick's volume. And I'll show some, the couch. I also feel like I'm fighting off an ear infection, which, I've been getting those my whole life. Lots of fun. Anything else that happened on the trip? Not a ton. We actually took a different route back through Connecticut because I got trapped around Stamford um, while driving back from Ohio around Christmas time. I'm pretty sure I shared that stuff on social media that I got stuck there. So we took a different route, which it was like a smaller road and it was not well lit, but we got back at like approximately the time we were scheduled to come back when we left. I assume Arthur has carpet on his floor. Arthur's, I think, the tougher to draw of the two, just because he has to have this, little doughy, a little bit more realistic proportions. It's tougher to exaggerate and hide some of those mistakes that I always tend to make. All right, let's erase some of these pencil marks here. Part of me wants to draw like a paisley couch, and part of me does not. All right, we've got our carpet that comes across here. That's where it gets to. You'll see part of Tick's foot there. Now, normally I would give Arthur like a coffee table in between them and the TV, but I honestly didn't want to have to put that much space between the two. That was just a design choice that, like, yeah, most people have a coffee table between them and their couch and their TV, but I didn't think that there would be enough room for all of Arthur and Tick's person, where they'd be pushed further back, and I just thought it would make a better shot to have them in the TV. I think we should put some of that fake wood paneling on the TV for old time's sake. Nice little swirl there. This piece will be available if anybody wants it. I think I'll probably put like $100 shipped on it. 2 characters. That's a heck of a deal. But oh, for sure. There was a time when I was actually wondering if the Tick universe like didn't progress through time, like it just was 1994. The calendar never changed, technology never changed beyond that point. Basically because NEC with what they publish, it took until Jeff and I to have a cell phone in a story. Yeah, it took until Jeff and I to have a cell phone in a story. It took till Jeff and I until there was like, I think I had the first laptop in a Tick comic. Like that's how trapped in those points in time that they were. So I actually was wondering if I made a mistake of adding modern technology to these Tick comics, because if it's permanently 1994 in the Tick's universe, like just that premise, like the characters never age, etc. Like I probably shouldn't have um, probably should not have put new technology into it. And I had asked about that at one point, but they were non-committal to a concept like that. And obviously, like Ben progressed the story in the Amazon show. So, but I've always wondered if the NEC comics only exist in 1994. Desiree says she'll have to get there before Brian does. Too true. Too true. I think at the very least, I'd like to put some sort of pattern on the couch, because I like having the distinctive shorthand textures. So, like, that this texture is the carpet here. His TV is made of wood. I'm going to put some vertical stripes behind them on the wall, and you'll have a little bit of a cast shadow from the Tick on this side. Same thing with Arthur. There will be a little bit here. And then I'll have like a picture frame between the two. But let's firm up this speech bubble balloon here that Jeff did. It needs thicker lines. Like it just does not have the pop to separate it from the background. So I add a little bit to it just because I think it gets too lost. Now I don't want to lose Jeff's line, like the shape or the direction he went, but we're going to lose some of it just because I have to thicken and build up the line on it. Because to me, this is what making comics is. It's words and pictures together on the page. Douglas, what do you think? You think I should shore up the line on the sound effect? Because I don't know, it feels like it's getting lost. I actually like the thinner lines for the balloons. I think those work fine. It's this here, the hum of the TV. Because I think it actually works with the balloons because it matches the lettering. I just thought that this completely got lost because there's so much going on, so I had to shore up the special effect balloon. But I don't know about the humming sound effect. Okay, I'll leave it. I'll leave it then. We'll cast shadow on the back wall. The TV's over here, but he's still catching some of the light this way. So what we'll do is we'll go like this. Some shadow this way. I will say, Desiree, Brian is very jealous. You got the first outgoing undersea hero sketch. He's like, I didn't even know. I didn't even know we could commission one already. I was like, she asked a long time ago. And it will be in the mail this week because I'm getting all the boxes out of my house. I'm tired of having them here. I've just been so busy with these shows, I haven't been able to get to the post office. Yes, yeah, you did. When we first mentioned like Undersea Hero, and I was doing like those test comics, and you were like, "Oh, Lord Crackus." I was like, "Okay," and yeah, he is quite jealous. I'm gonna go simple and just like a little polka dot couch, just so that it has a little bit of texture. You can tell what it is instantly. It's an ugly couch, but hey, it gets the job done for being able to tell like which parts between things are the couch. I need a texture that's like instantly recognizable as like, oh, that's the couch. Obviously, if this were in color or if I was using some zipatone, it would be a lot easier. But since I'm just doing pen tonight and I don't want to do like a zillion cross hatching things, I did find my ruler. It was over here. So we can put a picture frame, just a simple picture frame behind the couch behind them. Kind of an odd shaped picture frame, but that's all right. My folks always had different custom shaped frame stuff for like my. If it keeps freezing, I'll hit the reset again. Hang on. Try the reset button again. See if that helps. I don't know. I just hit the reset button, so if it's freezing, let me know. That's my only fix is that one reset. I don't know how to do anything else. And also, sometimes it depends on what channel you're watching on. Sometimes on Facebook, it does some funky stuff. Like even the quality of the picture, I don't think is as good on Facebook as YouTube. I wish I was more useful as far as fixing things. If my friend Allison were in the audience, she would be able to tell us if how to fix whatever the problem is. She's a computer person. You might be a computer person. I don't know. I mean, no doubt you're better at it than I am. But I'll blame Facebook. Absolutely. I will blame Facebook. No question. I will say the folks that were like, "Oh, you have a Twitch channel," were all under 25. It's like I do have one, and it does happen there, but I do not know how any of that works. Oh, thank you. I'm gonna have to white out some mistakes I made and some little bits here, but it's coming along okay. I do think I'm gonna need to add a tone to the background, which is something I was hoping to avoid, but it's really like there's a lot going on, so we need some more separation. Hey, I hope you feel better soon. I saw they gave you some new meds. Hopefully, those will help you beat whatever it is you're dealing with. I want to finish my scanning of my zips before I start using them, but I will use them. Hey, Isaiah, thank you. Thank you, Desiree. Yeah, she said on Facebook she was dealing with some sort of virus or something. I won't complain about my ear infection, I promise. This is where it helps having a beveled ruler where it's got the see-through with the grid on it. Just saves a lot of time for something like a simple parallel lines or something. A couple of the only mainstream or other publishers' characters that I'm comfortable drawing pretty much in any capacity. What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? If we can't do a zipatone, we're gonna have to fake a zipatone. So let's do a real simple crosshatch. And I think what we have to do is two different sizes because we have a striped background, and I think that'll really finish this off nicely. So bear with me. We've got time. It's only 9:30. So what I think I'm going to do for the two different tones for one, I'm going to do a simple diagonal crosshatch, and then for the other one, I'll do the diagonal and vertical and horizontal. So it's got a full web. Those will be the two different tones. It'll take some time, but I think it'll really make the piece pop. And when I'm asking for $100, I like to make it nice. We still got to finish our Arthur's mug, what Arthur's mug says. So Jeff, if you're out there, what should Arthur's mug say? And see, that's just a simple crosshatch. There's nothing fancy about it. There should be a tiny bit right there. Especially when I'm working on sketch covers, I'm conscious of the amount of work that exists in the book, and not just on the drawing that I'm doing on the front cover. And to me, that's some of the pressure in drawing on a sketch cover. And in this case, I drew the inside, so I'm not as intimidated by it. Now, one of the things that's funky about these is there's a vintage trading card on the inside, and these are like the original ones from the 80s. And I honestly believe that the reason that NEC made these books was to just get rid of a bunch of the basic trading cards that they had in their basement in the Brockton store. And I remember when I would do these shows, whether it was New York or San Diego, and before we would get started doing these sketch covers for people, I would be like, "Hey, Bob, how many of these can I buy?" Because I know that like I can always, because I draw on the character so much, I would be able to sell them, sketches of the character, basically for as long as I wanted to do them, as long as I didn't do anything crazy. Ah, shoot, I messed it up. I did. I messed it up. I'm gonna have to white that part out. God, wasn't paying attention. Messed up in the same spot twice on the same drawing. It's all right. We can white it out. It's okay. I actually felt the tip on this crack, so hopefully we can get this thing done because I think it's my last extra small Faber-Castell. I'm gonna see if we have another one. I don't know if I do. Look in my bag. If found an extra, extra small, which, my goodness, that is tiny. This chisel tip. 1 3. What do we have here? This is the small. Yeah. Some of these are the European sizes. Do I have one in here? FH, F, small. 1.5. That's like the marker ones. F, F. Yeah, looks like I don't have one, unfortunately. So we're going to have to try to make this work. When these things crack, you kind of have to hold them in place. So, like, you can't really go all willy-nilly. You have to pull the same lines over and over again. See if maybe we can fudge it with this extra, extra small. Just for the end of it, yeah. Yeah, I think that'll work. I think we can work with this pen. See, you can see the distinct tonal difference between just the cross and then like the duo and then the quad, different lines. I'm gonna wipe this part out because it's just driving me nuts. Visually, I can't look at it anymore. Get rid of this. So we got a handful of people still in here. Thanks for popping in tonight. Looks like we'll be able to finish this piece too. We got about 15 minutes left. It's going to be close to the 10 o'clock. I'm not trying to be too precise on this. I can spend hours and hours just doing the same cross hatching, trying to get it to be exactly right. But for this particular piece, I just need it to be the tone, the overall tone, and not have every line be perfect. Because hopefully they're looking at the purpose of having less contrast in the two rows in the back is to have these heavy contrast figures pop forward. That's the whole purpose of this portion of the drawing, is keeping the focal points forward, because there's a lot going on here. So we have to have some things there to help maintain focus and balance. have to make some tonal decisions, have to make lighting decisions that help maintain the focus. Yeah, this isn't the most exciting part, but it is important. Yeah, that's what I was hoping for. Like when what was his name? The background artist for Cerebus, Gerhardt would do those like elaborate backgrounds. Yeah, I can't imagine doing cross hatching with a crow quill. That sounds just like doing a heavy amount of that just sounds like a nightmare to me. It was bad enough trying to do it with rapidographs back in the day, those old art drawing pens that would smudge like constantly and sometimes they'd bleed and it would do all kinds of funky stuff. If I didn't have the tick here, if this was just a sketch, I would totally put the sailboat from the Simpsons couch in there. I guess I should have put the frame around the tick. That would have been like a. Although that might, if I had done that, you might have actually lost some of the depth. Now that I think about it. I mean, shots of people sitting on a couch were ubiquitous with the '90s. If you look at, The Simpsons or Beavis and Butthead, so many shots of just two people sitting on a couch. Not to mention all the talk shows, people sitting on couches. So many talk shows back in the '90s. How do I know? Because I was there. J.D. Rockefeller flying by in his Zeppelin, dropping coins on people. Those were the '90s I remember, children. And lemons were the sweetest fruit we had at the time. And you have to tie an onion to your belt because that was the style of the time. Those were the '90s. One of the things I've definitely come to know about my work and my taste in art is I like seeing the mark making, and I like seeing the handmade aspect of it. I don't like the illusion that it was not made by a person. That does nothing for me. I like seeing the work and the hand in it. Let me just finish this here thingy, this stripe, this wall stripe. We're on the last wall stripe. All right, here's a close up so far. You can see all the little tiny mark making bits. But I'll probably keep noodling on these extra tones, tomorrow. Let's white out so we can see Tick's antennae in front of the logo. Thank you, sir. Now let's do a little fill in while that's drying. We can fill in, flatten out some of these fully blacked out areas. Obviously, this was a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive from 50th anniversary. What year was that? 2019. I don't know if I have any lines that wouldn't just make it messier, so I'll leave the picture frame open. So maybe it's the light of the TV reflecting and you can't see what's on it. So we can just give it that glass texture. Shorthand for glass. All right, well, I think that's all we're gonna get done tonight. I'll sleep on it, look at it tomorrow, and I'll find something to noodle with it. But I think we're pretty well done. I think we've done a pretty decent job of getting this thing done. There's only one place to sign, and that's the Ian Brand TV that we have here. It's finished now, so that looks like a little logo. Oh, thanks for hanging out with me tonight. Oh, we didn't finish. No, we can't leave yet. We have to put the. I think we'll just go with number 2 for the mug. It's Desiree, still with us in spirit, even though she's sick. Let's go with number 2. Number 2. And just to be extra noodly, let's put a tone on the 2. All right. There are heroes watching TV. The tick tapping his fingers on the coffee mug nervously, tapping, tap, tap, tap. And Arthur explaining Breaking Bad while watching on what's close to the same TV I had as a kid. There was a little knob on the side, so Well, thanks for joining me. Hope you all have a good night and everybody stays healthy, happy, and thank you for hanging out. And hope to see you next week. Uh, Good night, everybody.